Well, sportsmen are known for embellishing their stories. Tonight we have a fish tale with twists and turns worthy of a real whopper. And the ending has yet to be written.
Jason Peterson joins us with the story of a fish that, while not a state record, could still become a world record. I said that correctly, right?
Christina, that's correct. As crazy as that sounds, you're exactly right. Rodney Ply of Diamond City has lived on and fished Bull Shoals Lake his entire life. His once-in-a-lifetime catch, though, came earlier this year. The tale of this enormous fish actually begins several weeks before the catch. That's when Rodney Ply registered for Mustad Hook's Hook a Million contest. Catch a state record fish on a Mustad hook and win $100,000, but catch a world record fish and win $1 million. On February 18th, Rodney and a fishing buddy ventured out onto Bull Shoals Lake angling for some big bass.
I cast in toward the bank. Boy, all of a sudden I had one of the hardest hits I've ever had in my life.
I don't know what the odds are of winning the lottery, but it's got to be about the same for catching a fish like that.
Rodney and Chad rushed their catch to the nearest marina to get it weighed.
We've always had that scale, and we've always relied on it pretty good for weights of the big fish.
When we got here at the dock, then we put the fish on the scale the first time. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the scale.
Decades ago, this was the size of a state record striped bass. The current record was caught 12 years ago. It weighed in at 64 pounds, 8 ounces. Rodney says his striper weighed more than 68 pounds.
Chad can tell you what he's seen on the scale, and I can tell you what I seen on the scale. But it's a record fish.
We've sent Mr. Ply a letter saying that his fish is not going to be certified as a state record.
Mark Oliver is chief of fisheries for the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. Oliver showed us where the information on all the state's record fish is kept. You'll find application forms and photos of past state record fish, current state record fish, and famous state record fish, like the 40-pound German brown trout caught by Howard Rip Collins in the Little Red River that was for many years a world record. Oliver says Ply's striped bass is not being certified because post-catch protocol was not followed.
And two of those are that the fish has to be weighed on certified scales, and that somebody from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission or U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has to witness the weight.
It's not like we didn't request Arkansas Game and Fish to come to the scale. I mean, we called multiple times to get Arkansas Game and Fish to come to us.
But Ply and his friends were told to meet a game warden at a grocery store 30 miles from the marina.
We went there, and come to find out, you know, they didn't have a scale big enough to weigh it. And the 4 or 5 places that we went through 2 counties trying to find a scale that was big enough to weigh it or that would accommodate a fish this big.
Had a game warden or other certified witness traveled to 125 Marina to witness the weigh-in there, Ply would likely be a state record holder and $100,000 richer. That's because it turns out the scale, although not certified, was working perfectly.
Had it sent in, had it verified, had it certified, and it came back at 100% that it was accurate.
With bragging rights and big money on the line, Ply took his case all the way to the top to Arkansas Game and Fish Director Lauren Hitchcock. Hitchcock's emailed response reads in part, "You seem to think I personally certified all previous records, and it's my decision to vary from standards. It doesn't work that way on my watch. You are misinformed. I'm not going to vary from written guidelines." Well, 3 of the most recent records certified on Hitchcock's watch seem to have varied from the written guidelines. This tilapia, caught in November, was weighed in without a qualified witness present, but the fish's weight of 3 pounds 8 ounces is in the record books. This yellow bullhead was weighed in at the Lone Oak Post Office on June 6th. The scale was certified on June 7th, after the fact. And also on June 6th, a 10-year-old beat a 35-year-old state record with this black crappie, even though there's no record of the scale used being certified, and the witness to the weigh-in is a store owner, not a Game and Fish or Wildlife Service employee. In reviewing the applications for state record fishes, we found some that lack official witnesses, some that lack scale certification information, and many that show fishes were weighed in on scales that hadn't been certified in years.
we're going to try to figure out if some weren't done correctly as best we can. Some of them date way back. And if we do find ones that weren't done correctly, those fish would be decertified.
I don't want to take anything away from anybody. That's not what this is about. It's just being treated fair. If you hold us to a standard different than everybody else, that's not fair.
A guy will fish a many a day on this lake before you'll ever have an opportunity to fish like that again. Rodney never will have. I never will have. And it's just a little disheartening that something that happens so few times in a man's life would be disrupted by a bunch of technicalities that really make no sense to me.
They've took the fun plumb out of it. I mean, it's just, you know, I never dreamed of catching a fish of that size at Bull Shoals Lake to begin with, but I never dreamt of catching a record fish and not getting to say you caught the record fish. I mean, I just don't understand that whatsoever.
Now, actually, Rodney may still have a record fish, a world record fish. The International Game and Fish Association is expected to decide by the end of this week whether or not Rodney's fish is a world record freshwater striped bass. And if it is, the $1 million contest prize will still be a possibility. All involved admit that it will be odd if Rodney's fish gains world record status but falls short of state record status.
Yeah, odd and certainly unfortunate, but I know you'll keep us posted on whether he gets
hopefully we'll have some good news by the end of the week.
All right, Jason, thanks very much. Interesting report.